everyone, this is Kim with Abundant Life Tarot. As you know, I wanted to do a quick video on a tarot spread that I came up with concerning divine discontentment. And this is something that we are having an ongoing video series. It's just a 3-part series. It's a short series on divine discontentment. And the spread that I came up with has the following questions. The first question is, where is divine discontentment showing up in my life? And what I mean by divine discontentment is how I think I could show you in examples to really kind of demonstrate or illustrate to you what it is better than I could say or try to define it for you. So when you are thinking about divine discontentment, think about it in the sense of looking at a situation that you're in, a relationship, a job, a living situation, and at one point it started great, it started wonderful, then it kind of goes into a period of time where you know, things are okay, trucking along. Some things, kind of get on your nerves, but nothing to write home about. And then you start to, the things that you started liking or that you tolerated before and, even liked at one point in the beginning of your journey is now something that grossly irritates you. Like, now that's all you can think about. And what divine discontentment does for you is it starts to be like an angst inside of you, like irritant, something that's bothering you, nagging you inside of you. You don't even know why you're like irritated half the time. You don't know why you just don't feel good in a particular situation. If divine discontentment is left to go unattended or taken care of or dealt with, or like moving on to your next journey, if you continue to stay stuck in the area that you or having divine discontentment, over time you start to get generalized anxiety, and like it'll manifest itself into anxiety attacks, manifest itself in health issues, like just poor health in general, always catching colds, always catching the flu, always just having, it just feels like things are not going your way. And it's because you've moved beyond the point of where you probably have lingered now too long in a place of divine discontentment, where you should be taking that nudging from the universe. That irritation is the nudging to move forward and do something different in your life. But you ignore it. You ignore it. You ignore it. You ignore it. And then finally, it can't be ignored anymore. And it manifests itself in different ways in your life. So I wanted to come up with a spread that addresses this and then helping you to get on the other side of it. I personally am graced with divine discontentment when it's a time for me to move on. I'm a person who, well, my sign is Aquarius, which is a fixed, well, it's ruled by Uranus, which is a fixed planet, and we kind of don't really like to be moving all over the place. I don't I don't like to rock the boat, but there are times when, for my own growth, for my own sake, I need to grow bigger and more expansive, and divine discontentment comes in and moves me. That happened recently with my job, where I worked for a company for 12 years, and then I made the decision to quit without another job in its place. But that was because that journey that led me to that was because of divine discontentment, just a general sense of just unhappiness, where I couldn't at first pinpoint exactly where my unhappiness was coming from. At first I was arguing with people, just not really satisfied, constantly feeling just like this just ache in my belly, like it just didn't feel good. And then I had to pinpoint where exactly is my discontent coming from. What's going on? I had to really do a little bit of detective work to realize, it's me not being satisfied or happy or fulfilled anymore in the line of work that I was doing, you know, the 8+ hours of my work day. And I just was like, I can't do this anymore. So, you know, and then some people, it takes a long time to, you know, move forward with their divine discontentment. Other people are like this. You know, I got a sign from the universe. It's time to move on. I'm moving on, and that's what I'm doing. And boom, I'm gone. I operate somewhere in between. Some things I'm like, yes, I know. Intuitively, I know this is what I need to do. And some things I'm like, no, I need years to work through that. So I have no judgments, however long it takes for people to get through their divine discontentment, to get to the other side. So I got stuck on question 1. We'll start over. Okay, so, but I had to explain and break down to you about divine discontentment. So, you know, it makes sense. So now we go back to question 1. Where is divine discontentment showing up in my life? That's number 1. Number 2, how long has it been festering inside of me? Now, you don't have to have this question. This is an optional question. Not everyone is ready to work with timing, but some of you are at a place to work with timing. I do work with timing in my readings, and everybody has their own individual system on what their timing is. Now that I have my own system, I resist looking at other people's timing. I might look quickly just to see if there's something I can glean from it, but I'm always afraid it might start to taint or confuse my energy with what I already have kind of made a contract about my timing meanings that I have come up with that for me are accurate. So in this case, you could follow my lead, or if you have your own means of timing, knock yourself out, skip through this part until we get to question number 3. But for timing, if I was looking at this, it says, how long has it been festering inside of me? And if I saw like the 3 of Pentacles, I would think, oh, okay, it's been, you know, some years. I look at Wands as weeks, Cups is days, so we'll start Cups, days, weeks is Wands, Swords is months, and Pentacles is years. And the first question we ask is, where's the divine discontentment showing up in my life? So let's say it was at work. And then it says how long? 3 years, you know, for me. Now it could be, you know, it could be a year and 3 months. It doesn't necessarily, you know, your interpretation of timing is fluid and flexible. A lot of us, when we're first learning tarot, feel like we have to have these fixed understandings of like what a meaning should be. And that's to some extent true with the tarot, with the structure of understanding the meanings. That is very important. However, in terms of things like timing or physical descriptions of people, if you do those kind of interpretations of the cards, that could be unique to you. That's where you have a little flexibility, a little carte blanche to, you know, do you with that. So how long has it been festering inside of you? And then you could even take the question a step further with that tarot card. And if it's Pentacles, you go, ooh, yeah, it's work, definitely. And it's confirmation of that. And, oh, because I have to work on this team, on this project that seems, it's a forever project we've been working on for 5 years. I've been tired of this for year 3 of this project, working on this team. I'm tired of it. So you see how you could take that and be able to glean a lot of good information from that particular question. But again, not everyone is comfortable with timing, and you could just look at not how long has it been festering inside of you, inside of you, but the other part of the question or answer I have, where if it showed up in Wands, what area maybe it's impacting. Although number three in the spread is, how is the divine discontentment affecting my life? So how is it affecting? And then you throw a card and see what that says. Number 4 is, if left unattended, how will it affect your life? So if left unattended, the divine discontentment, how will it affect your life? And that basically means if you don't do anything, you let this continue, you just ignore what you just learned, and you keep going, even though you're having some significant issues now coming as a result of ignoring what could happen. Maybe nothing. Sometimes the tarot cards say, hey, status quo. You'll be fine, but you may not be as happy as you could be, or it could be catastrophic. So, but you'll just see what the card says. And what we'll do is I'm going to take the tripod. Right now we're upstairs in my bedroom, over here by my little altar space, but we'll go downstairs to my reading table, and I will do this spread and then post it up so you all can work with the spread should you so choose. So then the next questions is the cards 5 and card 6 is advice cards. So advice card number 1, advice card number 2. So what advice does Spirit have for us in terms of how to move forward, how to navigate, where to go, when to go? All of that could be found in the tarot cards of cards 5 and 6. And then the last card, card 7, is the outcome card. And what's on the other side of the divine discontentment? So after you get on the other side, what's on the other side of it? And this is cool. That's a cool question, because if you chose to do nothing and you see what could happen with doing nothing, and then you see the outcome card, you could see that and you're like, ooh, okay, I don't really like the outcome. Could I do something to change that outcome? Why, yes, you can. You could follow the advice, and then you could redo the cards again at some point after you've kind of made the decision to do something different and gone off to a different direction by listening to the advice of the reading. And then you could throw that card again. What's the outcome? What's on the other side of my divine discontentment? And I bet you it changes, you know, because that's how free will ties into tarot reading. That's how you empower yourself with readings. It's, you know, taking the information, the advice, and being okay with, like, fine, if I choose to not do anything, what will happen? Nothing. Oh, I'll just be unhappy. Oh, okay, well, I guess I'll be comfortable, but I'm unhappy. At least I know. Or you could be like, I don't want to be like that. I want to make a change. Or you could see something, you're like, okay, at first I was going to chill, but now I don't think I want to chill anymore. So it's all that. So yeah, that is the tarot spread. What we'll do now is we will switch gears and go to the reading table downstairs so I can do the spread. And then I want to hear from you all on how it's working out for you. Okay, here we go. Here we are. Let's get to it here. So, taking a deep breath. Thank you, Spirit, for your divine guidance and help. And the first question I'm asking for myself is, where's divine discontentment showing up in my life? What area in my life is divine discontentment showing up? Knight of Pentacles. How long has it been festering inside of me? How long has this divine discontentment been festering? The Tower. Okay, I'm just looking at my next question. How is it affecting my life? How is this divine discontentment in this area of my life affecting the rest of my life? 5 of Wands. If left unattended, how will it affect my life? If I don't do anything about this divine discontentment, how will it affect my life? 2 cards. The Hermit, Queen of Wands. It's interesting. All right. Advice card number 1 and advice card number 2. Advice card number 1 and advice card number 2. Okay, well, don't want that many advice cards. I'm going to say that was just a clumsy foil. And it's so, these cards are so slippery anyway, and without my reading cloth, they're just really slippery. I mean, this is temporary. I just wanted to just have a feel for my black table before I polish it and put a new cloth down. Just wanted a little change of pace for a minute. All right, next question was advice cards number 1 and number 2. There's advice card number 1. Advice card number 2. Wheel of Fortune or Fortune. So the Moon card was advice 1. And advice 2 is Fortune. And finally, outcome. What's on the other side of this divine discontentment? What's on the other side? Eight of Swords. Which is interesting, right? We'll have to see how we're going to look at that one. But let's see. Take a quick sip of my tea. Yeah. Okay. So the first question is, where is divine discontentment showing up in my life? And we have the Knight of Coins. I think that maybe this is like me feeling like the pace of how much I'm making, for example, at my tarot business, is not quite where I want it to be. Like it's going at a snail's pace, as with the Knight of Coins. I've been tediously working towards it, really devoting each day of my life towards my tarot business, and it's just a really slow progression. And so I think the divine discontentment is coming up, that I maybe need to look at this from a different perspective, or maybe try different avenues in my tarot business. Also, I think more pressing, not even so much my tarot business, because that's still kind of fresh and new, and I'm really early in on the development. So I think the Knight of Coins kind of confirms that. I think bigger still, what this really is speaking to is how I felt about my insurance career. I put a lot of energy and time and effort into it, and I felt like, you know, I don't always necessarily believe in glass ceilings, but I'm also not naive to the fact that, you know, maybe perhaps if I had come from different circumstances, meaning, you know, maybe I didn't have to work as a claims adjuster or something where I needed to just stay in town, where I wasn't, you know, needing to travel and be away from my kids as a single mom, things could have changed and I could have been on a management track. Or perhaps, you know, I could have done more to hasten the management track along. But when I think deeper still, I never really wanted to be a manager in that field. I think I was going off of you should grow and become like, you know, damn near the CEO of a company at the end of the day. That's just not who I am. That's not what I want for my life or what I wanted for my career. So I guess the divine discontentment there is just understanding that cultivating what you want is most important. And as I end this chapter in my life with insurance and move into a different world of the public sector, working in the public sector as well as my new business, that yeah, it's going to take time to cultivate and grow, you know, to where I was when I was working in the insurance world. But I don't think it's going to take as long as I'm thinking, because already I'm seeing where it's just a small decrease in pay overall when it comes to net. And it's not, at the end of the day, I'm going to be doing something that's much more heart-centered and balanced. And I like that. It's going to take time to cultivate with this Knight of Coins. It's going to take years to cultivate to getting where it's really moving along. But I've got what it takes with the Knight of Coins, and I'm encouraged by that. Wow. So that's all that bubbled up inside of me from the Knight of Coins. Interesting. Okay, now we're asking, how long has this been festering inside of me? And the Tower is, when I look at the timing for the majors, I associate it with their astrological associations. So for the Tower, like the time period for that would be like March 20th to April 20th. And that is true. It reached a fever pitch for me in my divine discontentment to do something at that time, because I recall my boss going on vacation and then her boss delivering some not so pleasant news, and it just was like a light switch inside of me that said, you know what, you have been unhappy for a long time and feeling like this with this particular person delivering this kind of news, and it just didn't feel right. It was like, that's when I was like, I'm okay with knocking the Tower down. And I did. I turned things up onto its head. I wrote a resignation letter, and I waited until the perfect time to give it, to make sure I had enough time to work through it. But I didn't want to put too much time into it, or too much. I mean, I put a lot of thought and prayer and meditation into it, but beyond that, I didn't want it to just be something that lingered. So just like this kid knocking down this tower, that's exactly what I did with my job and my 20-year career. Okay, so now we are looking at, how is it affecting my life? Or how was it affecting? How is it affecting? The Five of Wands. It was starting to cause a lot of arguments, petty, useless arguments with people that I care about. It was me starting to be petty. I was even, this is me doing road rage too. Like, where I used to be super patient before with driving to work, I now couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand any ounce of the traffic. It was like, no matter what, I was angry and irritated and about ready to just hurt somebody. And I knew that didn't seem right. Whereas back in the day, I didn't mind the commute at all. Even on my commutes home, I was starting to get agitated and wanting to hurry up and get home so I can get home to tending to my kids, my chores, and then getting right into working on my tarot business, my website, my YouTube channel. That is what I wanted to do. And so there was this constant inner struggle for myself that was starting to manifest into struggles with other people. And fortunately, it wasn't really struggles at work per se, like with conflicts with people there. I usually get along really well. I'm always blessed with good work environments in terms of like teams that I work with and bosses that I work for. I guess I just I claim this. I have great energy when it comes to knowing what bosses that I'm going to click with and what teams I'm going to work with really well. So fortunately, it didn't spill over there, but it started spilling over in my family life with with my kids and at times with my husband, and it just, and I wasn't even wanting to really hang out with friends because I didn't know what kind of headspace I was going to be in. And that's not really good. It's not really good. And now I'm kind of reeling from all of it. I'm still kind of like rebuilding and putting together or kind of healing friendships. I had a friend, an old dear friend, call me twice now since this all began, and I'm either out and busy and can't take the call, or I'm doing readings, and so my whole lifestyle has completely changed. But I don't want that to be whatever prevents me from talking to someone who I feel like a dear sister of mine. So I'll be, after I do some recordings today, I'm going to make sure I make a point to give her a call and touch base with her so she's not worried or freaked out. But my lifestyle has changed, but that's because it needed to shift and make room for what this tower moment was happening in my life back in this past spring. All right, so if left unattended, how will it affect my life? And we have the Hermit and the Queen of Wands. And I was like, oh, first of all, I love these cards. Just so much to just take in with that, right? So with this, the Hermit and the Queen of Wands, I get a sense of, I have a tendency to be introverted, and some days I have to really push through that to get ready to do videos and prepare to respond to comments and to engage in the community. If I didn't do what I needed to do to make this big shift in my life, I would have gone too introverted and hid my Queen of Wands that's emerging in my life right now. This beautiful Queen of Wands energy, this entrepreneurial energy, this badass entrepreneurial energy would have been contained and hidden and only for my sight, my eyes. And that's not what I want. I want to shine to the world. I want to share with the world so they, in turn, other people can start to share their light, which then inspires other people to share their light, and so forth and so forth and so on. And so, yeah, that's the risk I ran, continuing on ignoring the divine discontentment that had really started like probably a year before, if I'm to be honest. It went back, but it was March and April that it reached like a fever pitch where I was like, oh no, you gotta go, girl. You got to go. All right, the advice card, I'll go through quickly here, is the Moon card. So leaning into the unknown, not being afraid of it. You may not be able to see everything, Kim, going forward, and it's not because anybody's trying to keep it in the dark. It's just, it's unfolding, and the magic is creating and unfolding as you're moving forward, and things are not as clear. But that doesn't mean that I shouldn't still be as careful as I can as I step forward. Taking careful steps, but nevertheless moving forward, taking steps even in the dark, even when the shadows are casted and I can't quite see clearly. Move forward anyway and lean into my intuition, because it's really a gift to me. It's a gift to anyone I share it with, and it's going to help guide me through this transition in my life, through this cycle in my life with the Moon card. The advice card, Fortune. Oh, I love this. It may take a while to cultivate it, but things are moving along in my favor and going into my favor. And because I listened to my intuition, because I leaned into that and said, you know what, I'm going to take a divinely guided chance, and I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to do like the Fool card and take a leap. And now Lady Luck may just be on my side because I followed the God in me. I followed my intuition and listened to it, and it's moving forward. And now I feel so fulfilled. I feel so happy. I feel so healthy and strong. And things do really feel like they're turning around. So continuing to understand that, you know, there's ebbs and flows, ups and downs in life with the wheel. And that maybe I'm going on an up moment where, as before, I was on burnout mode with my past job. I was on burnout mode because what I was doing 8 hours plus per day was, I felt, was depleting my soul, depleting my energy and time. And I just didn't want to be there anymore. And then I was coming home, throwing my all into my tarot stuff. And that was something I loved, but still depleting me. By the time I realized that, I lost so much weight. I was so tired. So just, I don't know, out of balance. Out of balance. So now I'm just kind of coming back to myself, going in a cycle of health and well-being. And I'm excited about that. So I'll continue to go on the cycle of health and well-being, moving up the wheel. Moving up the wheel. I like this wheel of fortune. Lady Luck. And then interestingly enough, the Eight of Swords. So what's on the other side of Divine Discontentment? Well, there's no promise that there's not going to be my own spun up anxieties. But the anxiety, it looks like, you know, this is an interesting deck and an interesting card. And normally, I think I have Eight of Cups in other decks where the person is facing forward. This person is turning their back on the anxieties. And that's, you know, when you're looking at a tarot reading, that's why I have quite a few decks, because sometimes my intuition is called to use a particular deck because of a particular card's depiction, and that's why I need to use that deck for this particular person, for this particular reading. And for this case, I was so anxiety-filled before. I couldn't tell if it was anxiety or my anxiety or what was going on. I just had this general sense of just dread. And I'm turning my back on it each day. Each day that after I quit, after I no longer had to go up to the workplace. And it's been now about 3 weeks. Each day feels like a load has been lifted. Yeah, I don't have a paycheck coming in at the moment, but I have my tarot business money coming in, and that's okay. And it's not, you know, it's not pressing that I need to run back to work, thankfully, but I have a job lined up. So it's like the anxiety, I'm turning my back on it. I haven't even always needed to take my Valerian route since leaving, because that overall general sense of anxiety has loosened, and I don't want to operate like that anymore. You know, it's not healthy for us to stay too long in situations that's filled with divine discontentment. It'll start to affect your health, well-being, and your wealth, really, everything. It'll affect your relationships. It'll affect everything. So I can't wait to hear how you worked out this Divine Discontentment spread. Did it work for you? Did it not? What were some takeaways? You know, yeah, let me know. Interested to hear. And I think here also there's some advice for me too. It's like when I start to feel anxiety, when I start to feel like that start to raise up, that is a signal for me that to look at what needs to be adjusted and not to ignore it anymore. Okay, all right. Thanks you guys so much for watching. Much love, many blessings. See you all in the next video. Bye.